left my newborn at home and went clubbing with AP when I got back.
I showed my cheating wife how ruthless I react to small mistakes. How can life take a 360-degree turn so quickly? If you had seen me 6 months ago, I would have been a happy man, content with my life. Now, I'm typing my life story on the internet to ask people what they think I should do. Yeah, I'm that desperate. I, male, 32, and have been married for 4 years to my wife, a female, 30. I work in a tech company while my wife is a homemaker. We have a baby girl who turned 1 year old last month. I met my wife, Maria, 6 years ago in a club. I went with a group of friends. We casually started talking to each other and then danced together for a while. She was a fun girl, that was my first thought about her. We didn't get each other's contact number or anything. We just danced and had some drinks together and then went our way. You should have gotten her number, bro, my friend Ethan told me a few days later. He was teasing me that I had fallen in love with the girl from the bar. Yeah, I really should have, I replied, sighing and rubbing my eyes. I couldn't get her out of my mind. I was regretting not getting her number. I was out for a work lunch with Ethan, but the client got stuck in traffic, so it was just us. Me and Ethan have been friends since college and also started working in the same company. Holy f***, you aren't going to believe this, he said, his face wide open in shock. What, I said, and turned to look at what had gotten Ethan like this. Oh f***, I said, a smile finally coming to my face. Entering the restaurant was none other than the girl from the bar. I saw her laughing with her friends as she made her way to their table. I couldn't believe that I was seeing her again. The regret of not asking for her number finally left my shoulder. Maybe it was in our destiny to meet again, I thought ludicrously. I wasn't going to repeat the same mistake again. I called the waiter and sent her a martini. She ordered that drink that night at the bar. This time she gave me her number before we went our way. We started chatting a lot. She was working on temporary jobs then. For those of you who don't know what that is, so while there is a vacancy and the company looks for someone to fill them, they hire people in those positions to fill it temporarily. She didn't know what she wanted to do permanently. She liked that her job didn't need any long-term commitment and she could leave when she was bored from that particular job. I liked talking to her. We both were single and just wanted to have some fun. We went to clubs together and partied many times with our friends. One thing led to another and we kissed each other one night outside her house. I really like you, I told her. She told me that she liked me too. We started hanging out with each other a lot more. We would spend weekends in bed. I was really happy to be with her and I thought it was a mutual feeling. Maria was quite beautiful, everywhere she went guys would turn. I couldn't believe how lucky I had gotten. She would tell me how guys flirted with her wherever she went. It never surprised me. I thought it was because of her beauty, but it wasn't just that. One evening when I took Maria out for dinner with my friends, I noticed something that night. She was here as my girlfriend but was still smiling and flirting with one of my friends who was single at that point of time. It felt a bit weird to me, but I thought maybe they are just being friendly. It wasn't just my overthinking. During our course of relationship, I noticed her various times, openly flirting with other men. One time when I confronted her about it, she told me that it was just healthy flirting and didn't mean anything. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with my girlfriend openly flirting with men. I didn't do that, so I thought it was fair on my part to expect the same from her. She told me she won't do it if I don't like that, and that was the end of the conversation. She stopped flirting, or healthy flirting, like she called it. Our relationship went well, but we also encountered rough patches in our relationship. Even though Maria told me that she stopped flirting with random men, I would still see her passing sensual smiles to random men sometimes. She would get texts from men asking her where she is and what she's doing. I would confront her about it and she would get angry. She would tell me that I didn't trust her and it's just my insecurity talking. When we had fights like these, we stopped talking to each other and then she would come and tell me that she's sorry and some sweet things. I was a young man in love, I couldn't resist her. So I used to let it go. At our second anniversary, I popped the question to her to marry me. It was an instant yes, to both our delight. We got married with our friends and family present. Maria told me that she didn't want to work anymore. I told her that if she doesn't want to, then she doesn't need to. I worked enough for us. I did quite well at my work. Along with my job, I made certain investments which turned out to be really good decisions. I was happy I could provide a comfortable life to my family. Our life was going well. We had a good life. I wanted to expand our family, but Maria said she wasn't ready for it. I understood her. Becoming a mother was a commitment for life, and I wanted her to be completely ready for it. I didn't have to wait for long because after 2 years of marriage, Maria told me that she's ready to be a mother. She said it felt natural for her to be a mother. She soon got pregnant with our baby girl, and everything felt too good to be true. We were going to be a complete family. Our baby girl came into this world around a year ago. She looked so beautiful in my arms. She was a perfect balance between me and my wife. I held her in my arms while I sat with my wife on her hospital bed. My family was finally complete, and I was going to do everything in my power to give them the best of their life. Maria didn't have any complications during the birth of our baby, but she suffered postpartum depression heavily. I hated seeing her like that. Doctors told me that it was more common than I thought. They said she will heal with time. I made sure to be there for her through all of it. I took leave from office to be there for her and the baby. She started feeling better after a month or so. She told me that I should go back to work. Even though I was reluctant at first about leaving them and going to work, I resumed work. The work had piled up when I went back after leave. I had to work extra hours to compensate. I felt bad that I was not able to give enough time to my wife and newborn baby. It wasn't fair for Maria to handle the baby alone, especially when she had just started feeling better. Work wasn't something I could ignore as well. I found a solution to it. I hired a nanny for a baby so that Maria could also have some time to herself. I told her that she should go out with her friends and all. She was reluctant at first. She didn't want to leave the baby and go anywhere. I convinced her that it was all right, biggest mistake I ever made. She started going out with her friends. The first time she went, I saw how happy she was when she came back. She had always been a party girl, so it didn't surprise me. I told her that if it made her happy, she should make time for herself. She hugged me and thanked me so many times for being understanding. I didn't think I was doing a big thing. Any husband would want his wife happy, and I was doing the same. I came home early from work to be with the baby when Maria had plans with her friends. We had a nanny, but I thought it's best if one of the parents was with her most of the time. I didn't want my daughter to get raised by a nanny. I appreciated the additional help, but I liked to be an involved parent. Maria was also happy as she was able to enjoy her life like she did before. We were settling in our new life with the baby. Even though me and Maria weren't spending much time together, I was content that she's feeling better. I thought soon everything would be fine and we'll spend a lot of time together, but we never did. One night, after Maria came from hanging out with her friends, she told me that she's very tired and going to sleep. I told her to go to bed and that I'll come to bed after putting the baby to sleep. I put the baby in her crib and went to our bedroom. Maria was fast asleep when I came to the room. I joined her in the bed and was going to sleep as well when I heard her murmuring. I turned to look at her side. Her brows were knitted together. She did that when she dreamt of something. She was calling someone in her dream. Jack, she said. It wasn't me. I didn't even know any Jack. I was confused as hell, but I was like maybe it would be a random dream or something, and then went to sleep. The next morning, I didn't remember that something like this had happened the previous night. Everything went normal the next few days. Until all of it came apart. Maria had gone for her friend's night. I was at home with our baby. I was watching television when the door opened and Maria entered. I smiled when I saw her and she smiled back. She took the baby from my arms and kissed her. She told me she's tired and was going to take a shower before hitting the bed. I was replying to some mails on my phone, but then my phone ran out of battery. I searched for my charger but couldn't find it. I must have left it in the office. I went to our room to take Maria's charger. I was looking for her charger in her bag when I got the shock of my life. There was a hotel bill and a packet of condoms in her bag. Why the is there a hotel bill and condoms in her bag? We didn't use condoms, and I sure as never went to this hotel room. I stood there like someone had poured a bucket of cold water on my head. My wife was cheating on me. When Maria came from the shower, she saw what's in my hands and her smile slipped. Her face turned pale. I waited for her to tell me why she has this with her. I was sort of hoping that what I assumed was not true and she hadn't done anything, but the look on her face told me that I was right. Maria realized that there's no point in lying anymore and started crying. I would have felt bad if she cried any other time, but crying after going behind my back, I had no interest in making her feel better. She told me what I already knew. I made a mistake, she said between crying. It was harmless. You know, I wouldn't initiate something like that. I kept looking at her. She continued talking then. She told me how her friends go to this same bar every time. She told me that the bartender kept flirting with her. She didn't flirt back with him at first, but he didn't give up. I thought it would be just harmless flirting, she told me silently. What happened next? I asked in a neutral voice. She said she didn't expect her flirting to lead anywhere. She thought it would be fun to do for the old time's sake. He kissed me, she whispered. Her words were breaking something inside of me. Then? I asked. We were alone at that time. All my friends had left and I thought I'll have one more drink and then call the driver. But suddenly he was so close to me, he thought I was interested in him because I flirted, then he kissed me and I couldn't stop him, she said as if having a word vomit. What do you mean, you couldn't stop him? I asked. Her words sound ridiculous. I kissed him back and I don't know what happened before he took me to a room of that hotel, she said without meeting my eyes. I knew I wasn't going to like this, but I didn't think her words were going to hurt like this. You slept with him, I summarized for her. She continued explaining her cheating to me. I don't know what I was thinking. It was completely irrational. Please forgive me. It only happened once. It was a small mistake. What's his name? I asked her. Jack, she whispered. She was dreaming about this guy in our bed. I didn't know what to say to her. The nerves of this woman. She had the galls to sleep with a random dude at the bar and then to come home and tell me that it was a small mistake. Small mistake, my foot. She knew bloody well what she was doing. My anger was taking over me and I didn't want to say anything to her. I told her I'm going to sleep in the guest room and then left her in the room. This happened 2 days ago. Now I'm avoiding her. I stay at the office till late and leave home early in the morning. I don't know how to deal with this mess. Kind people on Reddit, if you know what I should do, please tell me. I literally have no idea how to handle this. Update. It has been 2 weeks since that night when I found out Maria cheated on me. Like I said here, I was avoiding her initially because I didn't want to look in her eyes. Days passed and I kept doing just that until I couldn't take it anymore. I went to a bar and got drunk like I had never been before. I didn't get drunk like that even when I was a teenager. I decided that I was going to show my wife the consequence of her small mistake. I caught the eye of the woman giving me a smile. Usually I would have ignored it, but not that day. It was pay time. I took that woman home. I opened the door and took that woman inside. I made a grand gesture of welcoming her in and took her to the living room. My wife was avoiding being in the living room when I was there, or any room for that matter. But I knew Maria was watching. I asked the woman to kiss me and she obliged happily. I let her continue the kiss knowing my wife is watching me with another woman's mouth on my mouth. I wanted Maria to see this. I wanted her heart to hurt just like mine did when she told me that she slept with another man. I could hear Maria crying, but you reap what you sow. She deserved this pain. She caused this mess in our home. I stopped the woman when I heard my daughter crying and told her to leave politely. She made a pout but left grudgingly. I went to the baby's crib and took my daughter in my arms. She stopped crying after a little bit. She gave me so much peace. I put her to sleep and went back to the living room. Maria was there. Her face covered her hands. I know you wanted me to see that. I didn't reply and then went to the guest room. The next morning I woke up with a bitch of a hangover. I went to the kitchen to get something when I saw that Maria was making coffee. Even seeing her filled me with anger. That's why it was best to avoid her. I made this for your hangover, she said as she passed me some green liquid. My head was throbbing, but I didn't need her help. Don't act like my wife now. But I'm your wife, she said like my words had hurt her. Oh really? Didn't remember that when you slept with another man. Did you? I didn't have time for her drama. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and went back to the guest room. I took some medicine and started feeling better. I wasn't proud of what I did last night. Not because it was against the dignity of my marriage. That ship sailed when Maria went to that hotel room. It wasn't just my style. I knew Maria was hurt the way she sobbed last night, but that wasn't enough. I wanted her to suffer. I was going to make that happen. I called up my lawyer and told them to make the papers as soon as possible. They told me it will be ready within 24 hours. The next day, the papers were sent to me in my office. I wanted to see Maria's reaction when she saw this. Just as I was leaving work, I got a call from Maria. This was the first time she called me after that night she came home. I picked it up thinking it could be about our daughter as well. I came to the mall to do some shopping, but they are saying the card is blocked. That's the first time she called me, and that's because her card is blocked. Figures. That's because it is. Shock took over voice and she started telling me that I can't do that. I didn't have time for her theatrics. I told her plainly, I think I just did, and then hung up on her. I found Maria waiting for me at home. You can't do much shopping if you don't have the money. She didn't waste another minute and started telling me that I can't take her money from her. I know you're upset, but don't act like this. The audacity of this woman knew no bounds. I told her it wasn't her money, but my money. I just liked providing her with everything because she was my wife. I don't want to spend anymore on a bitch like you, I told her. She told me that legally she's still my wife and has the right to my finances. That brought a smile to my face. She was confused as to why I am smiling. You are my wife, but not for long. I gave her the divorce papers as my words drew understanding on her face. The divorce papers clearly stated that I was filing divorce because of my wife's adultery. My lawyer had told me that we'll get full custody of my daughter. Since we were getting a divorce because Maria cheated on me, she wasn't going to get a single penny from me. It was worth paying my lawyer the hefty fees. I wanted Maria to be stripped of everything I provided for her. She was going to be on the streets. Maria didn't have any assets or any money except for my money. I used to think of it as our money, but f it now. It's my money and I was going to make Maria suffer and make her regret cheating on me. I bet she already did. Update. It has been a year since my last update. I'm happily divorced now. I have full custody of my daughter and I didn't have to pay anything to Maria, thanks to the loopholes my lawyers provided. Maria moved out from the house a year ago. When she was taking her jewelry and her designer clothes, my lawyer, who was present that day with 2 of his assistants, told her that she cannot take it out of the house as it belonged to me. The shock on her face was so worth it. She left everything and was about to leave when I stopped her. She looked at me with hope, like I'll give her all that. But she was mistaken. I told her that she forgot her ring. It was a 3-carat diamond. I wasn't going to let that bitch keep it. I don't think this means anything to you since our marriage never did either, I said as I took the ring from her and threw it in the fireplace. Why did you do that? She asked like she couldn't believe her eyes. I didn't want you to have it. Doesn't mean I'm going to keep it, I said calmly. She was visibly humiliated and then left the house. I have not seen her since. She doesn't have any money or any home. Last I heard, she lived with some friends of hers before they kicked her out either. She didn't even ask to meet our daughter, and that was perfectly fine by me. I didn't need her negativity in our life. I'm perfectly content with my daughter. Everyone who heard my story till here, I'm really thankful to you. I'm grateful for all your comments and advice. It felt relieving sharing my story with all of you.
I started a live stream of my cheating husband. While he was in the act, betrayal is a terrible thing to go through. It tears trust apart and leaves wounds that take a long time to heal. It's been a year since the guy who I thought was the love of my life, it was pretty stupid TBH, broke my trust and cheated on me. When I saw this thread, male and female Redditors who caught their partners cheating, how did you do it? How did you react? I knew I had to share my story because I want anyone who has been through that situation or is going through it to know that they are not alone in this. And although it may seem like the toughest phase of their life, it will pass. I'll start from the beginning so that everyone reading it can get the complete context of the situation. Me and my husband, now ex-husband, Max, are both the same age, 30 years. We had been married for 5 years before I got a divorce from him last year. We have no children together, lucky for me, because I don't want to raise a child with that bastard. We both come from a small town in New Jersey, USA. Our town had only one school, so it was one of those situations where everyone knew everyone. We had always been in the same class. We were in high school. When he asked me out on a date, I thought he looked cute. And so I was like, why not? We dated throughout our high school, and years after that, we did encounter many rough patches in the initial years of our relationship, but we used to get through it eventually. Everyone around us said that it happens when you are young and in love. One thing that used to bind us was the love we had for our small town. While many of our batchmates from school went to different state universities far off, both of us wanted to stay in the town itself. We both graduated from the community college, and while my ex took over his family's hardware store, I joined our town school as a kindergarten teacher. We dated for quite long and then finally decided to get married. It was a natural decision, considering we were in love and all. He told me he wanted to spend all his life with me, and I felt the same about him. 2 years back, we bought our first home together. We spent all our savings together in that house. It felt good to take steps like these as a couple. We had a comfortable life and everything was going well until reality hit hard. Our house was built in the relatively developed part of the town. The houses in this part were only recently built, so it was no surprise that not many houses were taken in our lane yet. We had moved to this house from our rental house, which was right in front of a bar, so you could imagine the noise we had to endure. It felt really good to finally get away from that noise and have some peace. Still, seeing many empty houses around us has started to feel like we were living in a ghost house from some horror movie. The feeling didn't last long as, a few months after we moved, the house just adjacent to us also had someone moving in. I remember watching from my porch as the moving truck came and the movers started taking down stuff to the house. I waited excitedly to see who our new neighbors were. A woman then came to the house and parked her car in the garage of that house. She must be the new owner, I thought to myself before leaving the house for some errands. I thought of introducing myself later to her. Later that night, I told Max that we have a new neighbor. "Someone we know?" he asked. I told him that it was a new face, and I hadn't seen her around town before today. I told him that we should go and introduce ourselves to her. He hummed a yes or something before we went to sleep. I was busy with an event being held at the school, so it was only a few days later when I finally went to my neighbor's house to make an introduction. I had baked brownies that evening and decided to take some for her as well. My neighbor was a woman named Clary. She had just moved to the town. I asked her if she's alone or her family will join her. She told me that it was just here. She had moved to the town from New York and had gotten a job in the local news channel. I didn't ask any further because I didn't want to be one of those nosy neighbors I saw in the TV shows. This was our first meeting after all. I told her to feel free to ask us if she needs something. She seemed like a sweet woman, was my first thought as I made my way back home. Days went normally after that. I was busy in school as I had to also take classes from another teacher who was on maternity leave. Max was also busy in the hardware store. Some days, correcting copies and other work took so long that I used to come home after him. I would see Claire in passing and we would pass a smile or a wave, but that was it. One day, it was just me in the house. I was in the middle of making dinner for me and Max when I heard the doorbell. I was surprised to see Claire on the other side of the door. I invited her in. She told me that she had locked herself out of the house while her keys were still inside. "I'm still getting used to these locks," she said. I told her I understand, as it took me some time as well to get used to the automatic lock. I told her not to worry and informed her that my husband owns a hardware store in the town and will sort it out easily. She released a breath of relief and I smiled at her as I took my phone to dial Max. I told him what the problem was and asked him if he could send any staff from the store to open the lock. Max had 2 staff in his store working alongside him, but they were on half day that day. It was almost dinner time, so he said he'll be home soon and will open the lock himself. I hung up the phone and told Claire that Max will be here soon. I asked her for coffee, and when she said yes, I made coffee for both of us. Claire started telling me about her new job and how she's settling in the town. Claire told me about her life. She had recently gotten divorced and had no children. She wanted a fresh start in her life. That was the reason why she had moved to this town and taken the job. I didn't probe further, as I understood it cannot be easy to talk about such sensitive issues so soon. I told her that I'm here for her as a friend. Max had also come back while me and Claire were talking about food places around the town. This was the first time Claire and Max were meeting. Max has always been an extrovert, immediately befriending people he met, so I wasn't surprised when he talked to Claire like they have known each other forever. Max then went with Claire to her house to open her lock while I stayed back and prepped the table for dinner. I asked Claire to have dinner with us that night. She was hesitant at first, but after both me and Max insisted, she agreed. Max came back quickly and we hung together in front of the TV. We had dinner with Claire that day. She asked me how Max and I met. I told her that we literally grew up together. She was surprised that we have known each other for such a long time. Me and Max smiled at that, and then we talked about other things. We were having dessert, and Max wiped something from the corner of the mouth. I remember this detail distinctively because I saw a look of longing flicker in Claire's eyes. I didn't think much of it after that because I thought I must be overanalyzing things or whatever, but it turns out that my instincts were on the right track after all. We got really familiar with Claire over the next month or so. She was new to the town and didn't have many friends, so I kept inviting her to our place over coffee or dinner. I just wanted to be a good neighbor friend to her so she didn't feel alone. One day over coffee, she told me how her marriage fell apart. We didn't realize how the distance between us grew so much. We became strangers to each other even when we lived in the same house. Tears surged through her eyes as she spoke to me. I comforted her and told her that everything will be better. I told Max what Claire had told me about her life. I felt bad for her because I understood that it could be to see all your dreams about life getting broken. At that point, I thought I wouldn't be able to handle a divorce. Max felt bad for her as well, even though he had talked to her only once till that time. My husband is so compassionate, was my first thought after that. The second was that Claire seemed like a really good person and was a good neighbor as well. It seemed wrong that she had to go through this. Whenever Claire needed any help, like needing a carpenter or to know about the town, me and Max both made sure that we could do something to help her. One day I got a call from Claire that her car broke down in the middle of the road. She told me that she was coming back after work, but her car broke down. I asked her to send me her live location. I was about to go and get her myself when Max came back home. He asked me where I'm going, and upon telling him, he insisted that he will go to get Claire. He told how that location is at the outskirts of the town and that location at night isn't safe for 2 women. Since he was right, I agreed. He went to get Claire while I stayed back home. It took them more time to come than I had thought in my head. I heard them laughing about something as the car door opened. Max came in with a smile and told me how he had called the garage to pick up Claire's car. I nodded and told him to get freshened up for dinner. While we were having dinner, Max remembered that since Claire's car will be at the garage, he offered her that I will drop her to work. I told him that I had to rush school earlier than usual this week because I was taking on extra classes. I told him that it would be better if instead of me, he could drop her on his way to the hardware store. He nodded to that, and that was it. For the next week after that, Max would drop Claire to her work. I used to leave for school before them, but every evening, Max would tell me something related to Claire. Some days it would be things like, Claire really liked John's pizza. John's was a local pizza place, and I had told Claire to try their pepperoni pizza. He would also tell me jokes that Claire shared with him during their drive to work. I didn't think much of it. Max was a friendly person. He had always been one since we were children. It seemed good that Claire was settling in the town. Claire's car came back from the garage within a week. She started going to work in her car, but Max and her friendship kept growing. I was friends with Claire as well, but her friendship equation with Max was completely different. She would drop by the store with coffee for him. If she needed any help, instead of coming to me like earlier, she would directly call or text Max. It didn't sit well with me. Something felt different about their friendship. Max and I had many friends in the town, but none of the ladies had this type of equation with him. This was different. One day when me and Max were having breakfast, I asked him what he thinks of Claire. He was reading the newspaper and gave a reaction that said he didn't care much. She's cool. I didn't talk further about Claire with Max. Max gave a normal reaction. There was nothing which indicated anything bad. And besides, he tells me everything. Everything he and Claire talked about, I knew. When she went to the store with coffee for him, he sent me a picture on WhatsApp telling that Claire had gotten that for him. I thought this to myself. I let the Claire thing go from my head. I didn't ever doubt Max or his actions ever in our marriage. I trusted him a lot. Soon after that day, I ran into Claire. We started talking and she told me how grateful she is to have me and Max as her neighbor. I really couldn't have asked for someone better. You and Max made it so much easier to settle here. Guilt hit me hard for doubting her intentions, even for a short second. Claire had seemed like a good woman to me. Getting a divorce could be tough. She was just finding good friendships in her new life. Claire kept coming to our house for dinners or other things. I didn't mind it, neither did Max. One day, Claire needed to go to the nearby town to get a new couch set. She asked me if I would accompany her. I don't have much idea about that town, she told me when she called me up. Since it was a Wednesday, I told her that I have school. I told her that I can go with her on the weekend. She was busy that weekend. Max suggested that he can take her there as he didn't have much work on the store that day. Max dropped me to school and then went to pick up Claire. They went to the town together. Max called me during my lunchtime that day. I asked him how shopping was going. He told me all well. After furniture, Claire had decided to get other things as well, since they were already there. I said it makes sense and told Max to drive safely on his way back home. They came late that evening. I was already done with making dinner and was waiting for Max. When he came back, I told him to get freshened up as the dinner was ready. He made a face like he was going to say, but then nodded yes and went to freshen up. After dinner, when I was putting the dishes in the dishwater, I got a call. My friend Cindy was calling me. I picked it up. After a bit of small talk, Cindy asked me if everything is all right between me and Max. That surprised me. Why did Cindy suddenly call me after so long to ask this? I thought to myself and asked her as well. Yeah, everything is good. Why are you asking? Cindy then said, "Oh, it's nothing. I was out with my friends for dinner today in the next town and I thought I saw Max with another woman. They were quite intimate." She continued as to how it could be someone else, and she must be mistaken. Intimate in what way? I asked her. She told me that they were sitting really close, and the woman was constantly touching the man. I knew that Cindy wasn't mistaken. It cannot be a coincidence that the same day Max and Claire went out, Cindy saw someone else that looked like Max with a woman, and that too in the same town. What the fuck is going on here? I kept thinking. Why didn't Max tell me that he had dinner with Claire? He usually told me everything, but he didn't mention anything today. I thought that I'll just ask him myself instead of waiting for him to tell me. When I went to the bedroom, I asked him what all they did today. He hesitated for a moment, but then quickly covered it up and told me how he helped Claire picking up furniture, and then she did some more shopping. That's all. He didn't mention anything whatsoever about having dinner with Claire. Something inside me, my gut feeling or my sixth sense, whatever it is called, told me that I shouldn't tell Max about my call with Cindy. I went with my feelings and didn't tell Max anything. I was going to wait and see what else he was hiding from me. Everything went quite normal for some time. I was busy with school while Max was busy in the store as well. I smiled at Claire whenever we crossed paths, but that was it. She had settled in the town by that time. I hadn't asked him about what Cindy had told me. It kept nagging me that he hadn't told me anything about the dinner. One weekend, I was supposed to have lunch with my friends. School had been so busy that I almost never got the time to see them. Max told me that he's going out to meet his friends as well. We went to our destinations separately. In the middle of lunch, my friend Rhea asked me how my neighbor was. I told her about Claire. I said she seemed like a good woman. She told me that she had someone in the grocery store talking about how she has a boyfriend. It was a typical small town thing that the locals gossiped about anyone and everywhere. Claire wasn't going to be an exception. What Rhea said confused me a bit, as I haven't seen her around any man. If she did have a boyfriend like Rhea just said, shouldn't, as her neighbor, I would have seen him at least once or twice. Besides what Rhea told me, I enjoyed spending time with friends. On my drive back home, I kept thinking about what Rhea had told me and what Cindy told me that day on the call. Something wasn't adding up, but one thing was sure, that my husband was hiding something from me. Lately, he had started avoiding looking me in the eye when talking. It was a very small thing, barely noticeable. I wouldn't have even paid attention to it if I didn't know him for so long. It was a habit of his to avoid eye contact when he's lying or hiding something. I had learned this in the starting of our relationship only. I had my suspicion that something was wrong, but there wasn't anything substantial so that I can finger point at it. I decided to find out what was going on to either confirm my suspicion or end it. I decided that I'll just keep an eye on Max and Claire. One day I had to take a reroute from school to home. There was some construction work going on the way I took it every day. I thank my stars till this day for that, because otherwise I don't know how long I would have lived in that lie. I saw Max's car parked in a quite deserted area. It was quite a long route, so no one usually took it. I was surprised as to why Max was here when half an hour ago he told me that he was in the store. I parked my car in the shadows with quite a distance between our cars. He couldn't see me, but I could see them. I saw my husband and my neighbor getting intimate with each other in his car. I would be lying if I said this I didn't expect it. In my gut, I knew that something was wrong. I just didn't expect to find it like that. That cheating piece of shit went behind my back. Sitting there, I saw my love of life, what a joke, with the woman I considered my friend. Fucking bitch. I had two options at that point of time. Either I could have gone and confronted them. I knew they'll give me some shitty lie or excuse. Or I could act like I didn't know what was going on and make them pay for going behind my back. It wasn't difficult to make up my mind. I didn't want to waste my energy with these lying people anyway, so I took their pictures and made my way home. When Max came in that night, I acted like the doting wife I was, and he pretended like the perfect, caring husband. Lying bastard. I didn't sleep that night. All my thoughts about how our marriage took this form. I kept thinking if there was something I could have done to prevent this. Maybe if I would have given some more time, then this wouldn't have happened. Seeing my marriage crumble was difficult. That night, as Max was sleeping comfortably like he wasn't cheating on me, another thought came to me. It wasn't my fault that he was cheating on me. He consciously made the decision to cheat on me when I trusted him, and I was going to make him regret doing that. That much was final. The next day, I met my best friend, Kara, in the local restaurant. Max, Kara, and I had all studied together in the school. She was now a housewife. Kara was shocked when I first told her about Max and Claire. I told her everything from how Kara moved in and what followed after stopping in the middle when I couldn't stop my tears. Kara comforted me. She said everything will be all right and that I can file for the divorce and start fresh. I told her that wasn't enough. I needed to do something before doing that. Kara didn't understand at first, but when I explained to her how I had given my everything to Max, all my firsts, all my love and devotion, I told her I wasn't going to just let him go and live peacefully. I needed more than that. Kara understood where I was coming from and said she'll figure out with me what to do about Max. We'll make him pay, she told me. surprised with the determination. I went home after and continued the act of not knowing anything about my cheating husband. A few days later, the school had organized a picnic for the kindergarten kids. We were supposed to take the students to trek and then camp for the night there and then come back the next morning. I went home after school to find Max texting with a shy smile on his face. I had no doubts who he was texting. I had enough of this nonsense. I wasn't going to wait anymore. Suddenly, an idea struck my head. I immediately texted Kara, and after getting an instant reply from her, my plan was set. I told Max that I'm going to the school picnic with the kids and would not be back home the next night. He was completely fine with that, of course he was. No cheating bastards want to spend their nights with their wives. The next day, Max left for the store before me. He kissed me goodbye, and then he was gone. I called up Kara and told her to come to my house. We had a plan to execute. I wasn't going to the school picnic like I had told Max. I had already told the school principal that I won't be able to join them. When Kara came to my house, I discussed with her what I had talked to her the previous night. I was going to get Max's truth out. He pretended to be such a loving husband in front of our families, so I was going to show them the whole truth. Not just them, everyone Max barely knew was going to find out what a cheating loser he was. Me and Kara had decided that we are going to plant cameras and catch Max and Claire red-handed. I was going to live stream it on Instagram so everyone could see it as well. I couldn't wait for Max's reaction and the humiliation he was going to face. We planted cameras in the bedroom hidden from the eyes. I made sure that the cameras captured the bed completely. I had left the house after that and was waiting in a nearby cafe with Kara for Max to get back home. Soon, the evening rolled around and the security cameras showed Max coming back home in his car. To no one's surprise, Claire got out from the passenger seat as well. We saw them going inside. Max made sure that I'm not in the house before taking Claire to the bedroom. It was our bedroom. Pain and anger hit me together. Even though I knew this was going to happen, it didn't hurt any less. Kara saw the stiffness in my shoulders and told me that I didn't need to see this. She would handle it. I was grateful for her, but I needed to see this myself. I needed to see the extent my husband was going to go behind my back. The camera showed Max and Claire getting into the bedroom. They couldn't keep their hands off each other. We were watching this on our laptop, which was connected to the camera we had kept in the bedroom. I took my phone out and opened Instagram. After releasing a breath, I chose the going live feature on Instagram and pointed the camera to the laptop. People started joining quickly and everyone watched Max and Claire getting intimate with each other. I never thought I'd be sitting in that cafe, showing the world my husband in a compromising position with my neighbor. But that's what life is. We never know what is going to happen. More people joined the live stream, and the more I watched Max and Claire doing things with each other in our bedroom that I thought he did only with me, made me sort of numb to emotions. I kept the phone down after some time and kept my head down. I started getting calls from friends and relatives, but I had no intention of talking to anyone. Someone must have told Max as well because he started calling me as well. Maximum number of calls were from him. I didn't pick any one of them. I went to Kara's home that night and crashed in her guest room. Even though I hadn't done anything wrong, I didn't want to face the world. The satisfaction of bringing out Max's truth in front of the whole town made me feel better, but not a lot. The next morning, I checked my phone to see hundreds of missed calls and texts from Max. I knew I couldn't avoid him forever, but I didn't know what he had to say to me anymore. What is there to possibly say to me anymore? I kept wondering as I made my way to the house. Max was walking restless around the house when I entered. "Where were you?" He started bombarding me with his questions. I ignored him and looked around the house. "Claire's not here?" I asked him with a neutral voice. Max went silent for a moment, but then quickly recovered and started telling me how sorry he is. He started crying, but that drama didn't do anything for me. If the situation was any other time when I hadn't seen him in bed with another woman, I would have moved the world to make everything all right for him. But I didn't feel anything for him at that point. Max didn't realize this and followed him as I made my way to our bedroom. The sight of that bed made me nauseous. I tried to ignore it and started packing my stuff. Max was still giving me his lifeless apology and explaining how it didn't want to hurt me. I just wanted to get out of the house, but packing my whole life took time. I had to listen to Max's shitty excuses at that time. He was telling me how they were just friends at first. Max told me that he used to comfort Claire about her divorce, and in moments of weakness and vulnerability, they got intimate with each other. That made me laugh. Not only was he a cheater, he was a stupid human being as well. He was literally trying to justify his adultery to me. When I had enough, I told him to just the shut fuck up and leave me alone. I quickly packed the important stuff and left the rest for the movers. I told him that my lawyers would be in contact with him soon regarding the divorce. He gave a weird look like he was heartbroken or something. Cheaters don't get heartbroken. I left the house and then went to my parents' house. I'm not gonna lie and say that everything was easy. It wasn't. Even though I acted strong in front of Max, my heart was deeply hurt. He was the man I imagined my whole life with, and getting betrayed by him did some great damage to me. I didn't let that stop me, though. I went to my lawyer's office a few days later and told her I needed divorce. She nodded, no doubt already knowing what happened because of the live stream, and explained to me the technicalities of the divorce. She told me that I could get the house if I want, but I didn't want that. Especially after seeing Max and Clary in that bed. I was better off staying away from that. She explained to me the procedure and everything and asked me what I wanted from Max. I thought about it, but decided that I didn't want anything from him. I just wanted him to be completely removed from my life. I didn't want to see his face or Claire's after what had happened. She nodded in understanding when I told her that. She suggested that since the house was both in mine and Max's name, we could sell it and split the money. That was the best option in that scenario. If Max wanted to build a shrine of the place where he and Claire met and started going behind my back, he could simply buy my part from me. I didn't have any problem with that. I was happy with the knowledge that he cannot walk anywhere in town with his head held high. Everywhere he would go, people would look down on him. He couldn't be especially seen with Claire anymore. People would give him such disgusting looks if he was seen with her. I'm not an evil person, but I'll be honest with you all, the knowledge did soothe my heart. My lawyer told me that they'll contact Max and will let him know about the divorce and the house. I left the office and made my way back to the car. Even though it still hurt how everything went down, there was still some relief as well to not be living in a lie. I started house hunting as I didn't want to live in my parents' house forever. I found a cutesy one-bedroom apartment in close proximity to the school. I got the rent agreement done as soon as possible and moved in quickly. I started going to therapy. It helped me a lot in accepting that I couldn't have done anything to make Max faithful. He was responsible for his actions. My therapist told me that I was blaming myself because Max couldn't be the person he told me he was. It was good to see her perspective even though it cost a lot of bucks. I read a quote somewhere that people go to therapy because of people who needed therapy. I laughed at that. It was kind of true. My divorce came through quickly. There was no resistance from Max's side. The last time we met was at the court when he told me how sorry he was, and if he could, he would undo everything that happened. I didn't forgive him or anything. I didn't even want to talk to that piece of shit. My friends told me that Claire had quickly left the town. She didn't even give her resignation and just vanished after that day I live-streamed them. No surprise that she couldn't face me after stabbing me in the back. Max also left the town after our divorce was finalized. It wouldn't have been easy for him to face everyone after what he had done. I wondered for a minute if he went to Claire, but then took the thought out of my head. I didn't care about either of them. It has been a year since the court granted my divorce. The house has been sold, and I got the money. Max contacted the lawyer and told her that I can keep his share as well. But I flat out said no. I don't want that bastard to feel better by giving me some money. The damage he caused was irreparable. He deserved all that humiliation because he broke my trust and cheated on me, but I didn't do anything to deserve that betrayal. I was loyal to him through our entire relationship. Anyone reading this who has gone through this or is going through this, I want you to know something. You couldn't have done anything more to get their love or faithfulness. In my recent session, my therapist pointed out something really beautiful. She said, and I quote, "There shouldn't be a need to earn someone's love or loyalty. We all deserve it just by being the way we are." This really stuck with me. Even after a year, I still feel hurt sometimes. Sometimes I get nightmares. The video of Max and Claire keeps replaying in my head, but then I remember my therapist's words and try to move on. It's getting easier with time, and I think I'm finally reaching a place of happiness and peace. Thank you for reading my story and for your support through the comments. It means a lot to me. Update. There were a lot of comments asking if Max had tried to contact me. He had when he left the town, but I blocked his number. I also blocked him from all social media platforms. My ex-in-laws live in the same town, but we hardly cross paths, and whenever we do, we just smile and go in our respective directions. Max's mother told me after our divorce how she feels ashamed for what Max had done. I told her it wasn't her fault. I hope that I can reconnect with them in the future.